So after all of that, the question you should have is probably, who cares? Who cares, right? Last two sessions, I told you it's okay. We can use server-side pre-processing with PHP and we can get much of the same kind of work done, right? If today, which it is no longer, so today is Wednesday, that means we have 2 days to Black Friday. That is a nearly instantaneous server-side interaction that previous banner advertisement could have used, and is not so much, right, of the total processing time that we would rely on one of these big server farms to be able to do for us. So why do we even have client-side versus server-side processing? So PHP is server-side processing and JavaScript is client-side processing. So all of the processing is done on your machine as opposed to with me if I'm the server. Now, the very same reason this is fantastic is the very same reason we relied on the media query for responsive design in Web 101. And again, way early in the semester. Wow, that was like 6 weeks ago. Here with Web 102. The reason, as a developer, you would prefer to have client-side processing as opposed to relying on everything being on the server side is because for every one of those interactions that you have to undergo as a server, there's a cost there. There's an energy cost there. I know that seems beyond what you would think you would need to reason through, but believe me, when we have these big servers, when we have to pay, Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure or somebody else for each process that we essentially undertake, that adds up to real cash. So it's money, it's energy, it's time. All of those things cost me, the URL owner, real money, right? So time is money. We've heard all that stuff before. It's the same reason that in web design we say, the hell with me doing a server-side check for what kind of a browser are you on. We want that to be done on the client side where I don't have to pay for it, where I don't have to process it, and the responsibility for all of that is off of my plate. So rather than have PHP tell me how many days it is until Black Friday, rather than rely on doing that for the umpteen millions of customers we are going to have as Best Buy coming to our site, refreshing the page, coming to it again, checking on it the next day, remembering that they have to get a dongle if they're going to buy a laptop, all of those things, processor, time, money. No, to hell with that. If we can use JavaScript to queue your system on the client side to be able to do all of those with no additional cost to us, with barely any real overhead in the way of time it takes for you as the client to download the page, because you saw with PHP how many lines of code it was to get some of that work done. 5, 7, 10 lines of code. That moves quickly. So really we will, and you will, as a web developer, you will rely on both server-side and client-side scripting because there's benefits and advantages to both. But what I will tell you is, where possible, rely on client-side scripting because all of that allows you to take onus away from your server, which means that you are taking cost away from your server. And really, with as small as JavaScript is, with as fast as internet connection speeds are now, there's almost no penalty to be paid in the way of load time, in the way of, perceived slowness on behalf of your unknown potential future client. So we rely very heavily on JavaScript because it allows us a really robust layer of client server interaction without relying entirely on the server side to process that interaction.